everyone, happy Monday. I'm sitting here ready to start my week, and I thought I'd pop in and have a bit of a chat with you guys because I want to answer a few more questions for my newsletter. And there's a couple of things that I've been thinking about that I thought we could chat about today. I've got Fred here. He obviously wants to say hello. Say hi. Say hello, Fred. He's camera shy. Okay, so I want to talk about the idea of being curious. This is something we talk about in our gut health program, having a mindset that is curious and not conclusive. So instead of having that black and white thinking of it's my way or the highway, this is the way I'm going to do it, and if I don't do it, for instance, healthy eating. Okay, there's a lot of people that get into a very black and white mindset with the diet that they follow. So they may be keto or GAPS or whatever, and they decide that this is the way that you've got to do it, and if you don't do it this way, you're doing it wrong. And maybe they don't think that about other people. Maybe they just think that about themselves, and they think, I have to stick to the rules, or I've messed it all up and then I've failed, and so then I just scrap the diet for the rest of the week and start again on Monday, because that's when you start diets, we all know that. And we all get caught up in this way of thinking sometimes. But I really love the idea that there are principles when it comes to food and health and everything in life. And it's the principles we should be thinking about and working out how to work those principles into our everyday lives in a way that is sustainable, in a way that suits the season of life that you're at, the responsibilities that you have going at the moment, the stresses on your life, the age. I know for women, it really makes a difference as to where you're at in your your hormonal stage of life. Like for me, things have changed with my diet as I've gotten older. My metabolism slowed down. There's different things that I need to support more, like my hormones. There's a lot of things to consider when it comes to diet. It's not just one size fits all, and it's not black and white, that's for sure. And I'm sure most of you know that, but it can be something that we can get caught up in the idea that, okay, now I've figured it out and this is what I'm going to do, and I'm just going to stick to these black and white rules. And instead of having a curious mindset, we get this conclusive thinking, and then when we fail, we crash. So I think it's really important to always keep an open mind when it comes to health and diet, and to read and research and try different things and work out what works for you. Fred, you're really noisy. He wants to talk as well. And I was listening to a podcast on the weekend with some people who benefited from, my recipes and the gut health retreat that we held a couple of years ago. And it really helped them to change their way of thinking, not just with food, but also it flows on to all of life. So I'll link the podcast below, but it was really good because in the podcast, Dave mentions the importance of being curious. And that's why I started thinking about this again. And he said, if someone ever comes in and challenges your paradigm, don't just shut them down, be curious. And he talked about how he was a farmer using regular, modern methods of farming, and completely wrecking the soil and using heaps of fertilizers and chemicals and all of that to keep it all going. And he started to get curious about, if our bodies thrive when we nourish them and get rid of the toxins and go back to the natural way of eating, maybe there's a parallel here for the land. Maybe I need to be thinking about this with the way that I farm. And he started to get curious about that kind of thing. And he started to research how can you nourish the soil? How can you heal the land by reducing the toxins and increasing the what it needs to be nourished? And he became slowly over time, he learnt more and more and became a regenerative farmer, and now he coaches regenerative farmers in how to transition to regenerative farming. And I just found that so interesting because, if you have a curious mindset, it overflows into all areas of your life. You begin maybe like me, and you began with being curious about food and thinking, how can I work on healing my family naturally? How can food help us to heal? What else can I do besides food that will help us to heal naturally? And then you start to question the norms. These foods are approved by the government, so they must be fine. And you start to think, well, what else in life have we been told is good for us, or is okay, or is fine in moderation, that is affecting my health and well-being, or that is affecting the health and well-being of the land or our communities. And so having that curious mindset is really important, and not shutting down people who disagree with you, but listening to them and reading as much as you can and researching and trying to see the other side of people's arguments so that you can learn more. And that's just so important for growth. If you block out everything you disagree with, you will not grow. It's all helpful to learn from. Even if you don't agree with everything you read in a book, you will still learn from something in that book. Like I find with podcasts and books and programs and diets and all the different thinking out there, I like to know the reason why behind the viewpoint, and I like to dig down to the roots of it, and then I like to see what fits for me. And that's what I mean by being curious. And I also want to just mention here that I'm often asked, questions about diet that I guess it comes from the black and white sort of thinking. Is this food okay? Is that food okay? I've heard that legumes are not healthy, or I've heard that, dairy is, what was the thing I heard the other day? That dairy will cause osteoporosis, or all these thoughts. And you have, really, if you're going by black and white rules of what different people tell you, or what you read on social media, or what you read in a program or a diet or a cleanse or a detox kind of information that's out there, these questions will constantly come up because you're sort of going by the rules, not by the principles. But if you look at food and diet and health with the principles, you can answer the questions for yourself. For instance, the principles that I think are really important. Fred, you are so noisy. Okay, go over there. Some of the principles that I think are really important when it comes to food and diet are, firstly, what have human beings thrived on for thousands of years? What foods? We know that, just a minute. Fred, you're really loud. We know that human beings have thrived on dairy and meat and animal products, as well as vegetables, legumes, nuts, fruits. We know that because it's all through history. Honey, these kind of things. But we have to think about what form were these foods in, and did they do anything to make them more digestible? And often they did. But you can't just black and white say all dairy is bad for you, because if you look at the principle of history of use and how human beings have eaten and thrived in the past, you'll see that most cultures did have dairy in some form, but it was generally fermented. It was clarified butter, which is ghee. It has been in the human diet for thousands of years and been a healthy part of the human diet, but it wasn't, it's not the same as the dairy that most people eat today. So the super refined dairy, so milk that's been heated and treated and cleaned, and I'm trying to think of the word, homogenized. That's not the same milk that human beings have eaten or drunk for thousands of years. That's not the same. It doesn't have the enzymes still in it to digest it. That's why fermented milk products are a lot easier to digest, because they're so full of those enzymes and bacteria that really help the gut to be able to digest it. And then you get the goodness out of it, plus great range of bacteria. So that's why I like to do 24-hour yogurt, 24-hour sour cream, fermented, and things like milk kefir. I like to use butter and ghee. They are really healthy foods if they're from healthy cows that are feeding on pasture. So if you're saying that the dairy from the supermarket that's ultra processed is not healthy and maybe causes osteoporosis or whatever, I may agree with you there. I probably will agree with you, but I can't agree that all dairy is unhealthy in every situation. So that's what I mean by black and white thinking. We have to think about, all the factors around a food, and it's not the case that all legumes are unhealthy for you, but the way that you prepare them will make them more digestible or less digestible. And maybe you've got gut health issues, and so you can't cope with legumes right now, and you have to wait to work on your gut health first. And then when you start to bring legumes back in, you need to make sure they're really well soaked, fermented, rinsed, cooked slowly and well, preferably in stock or broth, and that will make them more digestible. So there's a lot of factors. And there's a lot of variables, and it's not black and white, so be curious. One more thing that I want to mention is the whole idea of gut healing in a bottle. Quick fix, miracle pill, some magical medicine or supplement or mineral juice superfood that is going to heal you and fix your gut. I do get questions about this a fair bit from people saying, have you heard of such and such a product? It sounds amazing, and it promises to heal your gut. Well, I'm very skeptical when I see a product that promises to heal your gut. There seems to be a lot of them around lately. And also I'm skeptical of products that say they will completely help you to lose weight and be a healthy weight from a product. Gut health and having a healthy weight and just general health is dependent on such a variety of factors, including reducing stress, healing the lining of the gut, balancing the microbiome with fermented foods and high fiber vegetables and all of those kind of things that feed the good bacteria. There's, eating a nutritious whole food diet so you're getting the micronutrients you need, and having the balance in your diet so that there's, for instance, animal fats that help you absorb the nutrients in vegetables and all those things that work together. But there's also things like getting outside in the sunshine and being out in nature and breathing properly and resting and sleeping and reducing stress, spending time with people that are like-minded and having a supportive community. All of these things are super important for gut health, and they can't be put into a bottle. You can't say that if you take this supplement or if you drink this juice or if you take this pill, you're going to feel so much better if all those other things are still the same. So yes, bought probiotics can help with your microbiome, and your practitioner may prescribe supplements that can help to target specific issues along the way, but it's only a small part of the whole, and they can only do so much. Just remember to step back and look at the big picture, and be curious about all the different things that affect your health and what areas you need to work on and improve. And just keep working on all the little things that come up as they come up, and don't try and do everything at once, and don't get overwhelmed by the thought of having a perfect diet and a perfect lifestyle. But as things come up, be curious about them and think about ways that you can improve in those areas, and look at health as a big picture and not as a set of black and white rules, but look at the principles of good health and think about those. I'm going to link to an article underneath with some of my principles for whole foods and healthy eating. And I hope that will be helpful to you in trying to work out what foods are good and what foods are not so good when you go shopping and when you're working on your food for the week. But also just remember, there's so much more to health than food. And Elise and I talk about this a lot in the Gut Health Formula program, having that mindset where you're looking for the root cause of health issues and you're working on it from all different directions, not just from the food direction. All right, have a great week, guys, and stay curious. Bye.